Let's get you some other news now, and news just coming in. In fact, we do believe that the Prime Minister has asked the group of ministers on Bhopal to meet almost immediately. Well, let's go across to NDTV Sandeep Phukan, who joins us for more. Sandeep, what more can you tell us about this? Clearly, there has been so much outrage and pressure on the government to act, and the Prime Minister now saying that the group of ministers must meet and act almost immediately.
That's true. I mean, it's yet to be officially notified by the Prime Minister's office, but quite clearly this is a damage control exercise by the centre, given the outrage that people have expressed over the past few days, in fact, over the past 1 week. After that verdict, that almost seemed to compare the Bhopal gas tragedy with a traffic offence. 2 years for 20,000 lives is what was given. So obviously, many questions unanswered. Who or what led Warren Anderson, the principal accused, to flee out of the country? Did the subsequent governments try hard enough to get him back to India to face a trial? All these issues need to be, has the compensation been enough? Should Dow Chemicals, who bought over Union Carbide factory in India, should they pay up for the cleaning up process? All these issues will have to be addressed. Right. And that's the reason why the Prime Minister, who set up the group of ministers, is asked to meet immediately and submit its preliminary report to the cabinet. So it's definitely, it has to be interpreted that, the centre wants to be seen as proactive and taking some action, given the fact that the decision hasn't gone down very well with the people.
Right. Sandeep, of course, the Prime Minister over there also giving us a deadline. 10 days is what he's given this group to get its act together. Who are really on the panel? Take us through the ministers who are, in fact, part of this panel.
Prachi, well, this is not a new group of ministers. There was one group of ministers that was constituted in UPA 1, and it was headed by then the HRD Minister, Mr. Arjun Singh, because Arjun Singh was the Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister when this tragedy had happened, so he knew the entire story inside out. So he had actually headed a group of ministers, and they were specifically looking at issues like resettlement, rehabilitation, compensation to victims, and also the issue about who will pay up, who will pick up the liability for cleaning up the disaster site, the factory of Union Carbide Chemicals. That is something that the group of ministers was constituted for. However, in UPA 2, it has been reconstituted. Arjun Singh is no longer a member. So this new group of ministers will be headed by P. Chidambaram, the Home Minister, and they will have other members like Mr. Kamal Nath, Mr. Ghulam Nabi Azad, Kumari Shelja. Then also the Chemical Minister, Chemical and Fertilizer Minister, Mr. M.K. Alagiri. So all these people will sit, the Law Minister, all of them, Virappa Moily, all of them will be part of this new group. This is a 9-member group of ministers who will meet and who will have to again discuss on all these issues. As I said, the compensation, the relief and rehabilitation of the victims, the cleaning up of the disaster site, who picks up the liability, how does one go about it, all of these issues. But obviously now, given the fact that there's so much of outrage in the country, especially whether or not Warren Anderson should face trial, should he be extradited, the finance minister, Mr. Pranab Mukherjee, is on record saying that the government is trying to get him back. So all these issues will also have to be dealt with by this group of ministers.